welcome back to Man Family Farms.
Currently working on our roll bar that we're gonna put on that 4020 that Derek's been working on. Getting it prepped, cleaned up, and kind of figuring out what exactly we need to do to get it mounted on there. You can see on the bottom of these, they already have threaded holes and they were pretty rusty. So I took our tap and cleaned them out, and I had good luck with this side. Got them all tapped, got a 3/4 diameter bolt. They go in there pretty good. Yep, just like that. So I just needed to get this side tapped out, and we'll have to make a bracket that will sandwich around the axle on the tractor and drill 4 holes in it and mount it up there. I'm gonna go ahead and take our tap and clean the threads out on this side. Use plenty of PB Blaster to help break up that rust. See how I did. So to show you how big of a difference cleaning those threads out made, I haven't done this one yet. Let's see how tough this turns in there. So I don't even have it that far in yet, and I can't turn it by hand anymore. So I'm gonna go ahead, clean the other 3 holes out. Looks like these 2 are gonna be the worst, so just take it slow, see how it goes. Just finished up getting these holes tapped out. This one right here was definitely the toughest. The roll bar will sit over the axle right here and over here. So we got to get some thick metal and build a plate that'll come from the bottom. And you'll have 2 bolts here, 2 bolts in the front, basically sandwiching that roll bar together. These fenders, we'll have to take these brackets off. We won't reuse those, and then these fenders will bolt right on to the roll bar. Honey Badger showed back up with a mounting plate. Got some 3/4 inch steel here. Got my first piece laid out. Center punch, gotta drill those out. Cut it off here, and then I'll make another piece just like that one for the other side. And that's what we'll use to clamp the roll bar onto the axle. Gonna take it over to the roll bar, match it up, make sure the holes lined up before we cut it. Kind of simulating what it's gonna be like on the axle just to make sure our holes lined up. It's a little snug, but I got everything to go. This will just squeeze right around the axle. I take this back off and lay it underneath the axle to see how the bolts lay out, see if we gotta do anything else. But so far, looking good. If we have to come back and ream out the holes a little bit, we can, but right now, it's looking like it's gonna work. We're getting the fenders mounted on before we put the roll bar on there.
It needs to be a good inch long. It's just enough. And a longer bolt. 6-inch bolt.
We're gonna have to get some longer bolts, but for the meantime, we can still mount the roll bar sides on there with the brackets we made and see if those are gonna work. Looks like our brackets are gonna work Let's mount the roll bar on. My dilemma we have now is mounting the fender back onto the roll bar. It's a little tight between here and the tire. It's gonna rub. So we either got to space the tire and wheel out.
Just a little wedge that hooks on the ball.
It's just
on the
another
wheel.
It's another groove on the rim. It can move out 4 inches.
This rim here, or wheel, has to be spaced out to where this rib is here, and that'll give us enough space.
If we try to move these wheels, we'll I mean, go back and watch the 4430 video.
Yeah, break a wedge. Or...
I don't really want to do that right now.
This has got 11 years.
Moving out 4 inches is still going to
77 to 60. What year is this tractor? 66.
Yeah.
This has 11 years on the 4430 of time for rust.
Today we are doing some work on the planter. First thing this morning, our GPS wizard, as I like to call him, came out and got us set up on our monitor. We had a couple files that needed transferred, so he helped me walk through that. We got to talking about some things, and I told him I think we got a leaky airline somewhere. So he helped me and Devin and Badger find that. Lucky is going to bring a new airline when he gets back from work. And our GPS wizard also told us we need a new ISO bus for the 8520. ISO bus is the main electronical control connection that literally like controls everything, GPS, auto steer, the whole 9 yards. At the moment, we're doing just some maintenance checks. Devin's going through, checking all the gauge wheels, making sure they are set properly.
So basically, so when you're planting through the field, the gauge wheel is usually riding up like this. You want it to rub against the disc opener just enough where it's got a little bit of tension there, but you don't want it to be tight. So like right now, you can hear that, I don't know. You can hear it just slightly rubbing on the disc opener, and it's turning freely. It's not like sometimes when you push it up, if it's super tight, that means it's too tight, and if it's not rubbing at all, that means it's too loose. Loosen this bolt up here, then you either tighten this or loosen it as needed, and that will suck this little, I don't know, bushing, bearing, sleeve, whatever you want to call it, that connects to the gauge wheel. It'll suck it in and out and help pressurize it against that disc opener.
What I'm currently gonna start on is checking our disc opener gap. They come to a point, there's an opening up here, you can see the gap, and then they come together and then they widen back out. This is what makes the trench for the seed. What we do to check that these are in correct, proper working form, take our little handy Man Family Farms business cards, and we stick one on the top side until it can't anymore, and we stick one on the bottom side also. So there, now we have a gap. This is the space that it is touching, and that measurement is recommended at 1.75 inches to 2 inches. So you take a third business card, and this business card measures 2 inches wide. So what I can do is I can just stick that in there, and if I can tell, okay, it's slightly smaller than the business card, I know I'm right there, right in between 1.75 and 2 inches, and we're good to go. There's one other thing you should check. I gotta check and make sure those disc openers are running straight, meaning that the gap or not gap is consistent and that they're not wobbling. Otherwise, you'll get uneven trench, and we don't want that.
Here's to the good days, here's to the sorrows. If this is a mistake, I know about tomorrow. I don't wanna fight no more, cause I don't feel the need no more, no. Just wanna make it stop.
Just went through, checked all the disc openers, and we got a little work to do. About 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rows that need some attention. Most of them just have a gap in them, either a large gap or a small gap, but there was one that was completely missing one side of the disc opener. I don't know how that happens and how long we ran it like that, but very interesting. It's about 11:30. We got to run into town about noon here, go to the John Deere store, get some parts, pick up a few items. We got to hook up a trailer to get some parts because get some pretty big stuff. It has been a very sloppy, wet past few days, that's for sure. But to be completely honest, we need this bad. We are really dry, and we're still really dry from last year, so we'll take all the moisture we can get. Still probably a short month away from planting, so you know, not really worried about the weather at this moment. Oh, so handy. I think go back. Okay, the most fun part. Boing! Locked and loaded. What's up? Made it to the promised land.
We're meeting a guy here to pick up a John Deere roof canopy for a 4020 that goes on top of the rollover protection.
And remember, John Deere's not a place, it's a people.
All one hood instead of.
Boy, I don't know. The hoods aren't as good as the 445.
Oh my, we're finally back from a long anointed adventure to the John Deere store. We've got 2 crates, cultivator sweeps, a big ol' tote of def, and a canopy for a 4020.
Oh yeah.
Total funness.
Had to put the wheel on the inner part of the rim.
Yeah. So it gives us about 4 more inches of clearance here. Be nice, a lot more space in here for the fender.
Devin is replacing these vac tubes. This one had holes in it, and we're just replacing the other ones while we got them. I'm going back through all the rows that were not disc openers, were not spaced correctly. Showed you my list. They've worn down enough where they're not quite ready to replace completely.
We're gonna get 1 more season out.
Yep, we're gonna get 1 more season out. We can shim them down, a couple more shims. I'll show you what that looks like here in just a minute. Gauge wheels off. Obviously pretty simple, pretty straightforward. 15/16. This guy right here. There's the disc opener. I need a flathead screwdriver. Pry this little rubber cap off. Now, what's interesting about these disc openers is the right side of the row unit is a right hand tighty, left hand loosey, like any normal nut and bolt. But the left side of the disc opener is a left hand tight and a right hand loose. It's opposite. Reason for that is because these spin, and this, as it spins, is naturally tightening itself. So it won't naturally work itself loose on the right side. But on the left side, if it was normal, it would naturally work itself loose. So I have to put a reverse threaded bolt there in order for that to not happen. That is just something very important to keep in mind if you're ever working on something like this. Those are right hand is right, left hand is opposite. Get that off. Next thing is to take the scraper off. It's just mounted in there by a spring, pressure fitted. This will work just like that. Now I can pull disc opener off. See the seed tube there? These right here are the shims. As my blade wears, I can remove some of these to get my gap spacing back how I was showing before. And eventually at some point next season, these will be worn totally enough to the point where we will need new blades. I'm gonna remove probably a couple from each side, put them all back on, tighten it up, check my spacing with my cards, and see how we come out.
Just a bolt.
Looks like I'm a little wide. So take them back off and put one shim back in. Just a little bit too wide still. Gonna put one more on the other side. Third time's the charm, huh? I'm so close. I think I gotta go one more. Good to go. Put it back together. First thing, make sure they're both tight. And then we're gonna put our scraper on. Just scrapers that. Put the rubber caps on. Gauge wheels back on. And we will get those set how they need to be. Now we're gonna go do the other 8 rows.
Maybe it's something in the water, or maybe we just hit the end of the road. Right now it doesn't even matter. It's too late not to let it go. And that's why I wish you the best and say goodbye.
Houston, we have a problem. The stud is broken. The stud that the disc opener sits on is broken.
Really? That's fun. That's the one that was gone?
Yeah.
Well, that makes perfect sense. I almost feel like you have to get... We'll figure it out.
Otherwise, we have shanks. Got some shanks. We could probably get one. Yeah.
So when you turn those in, I mean, what holds them in there?
Get them tight. There's probably Loctite on them.
I'm gonna have to call Wilson to weld it.
Need the wire welder.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
You don't. Stick doesn't work for this kind of thing. You got to use a wire welder. You put a nut right here.
Yeah, I get
Get
that.
it hot.
And weld the heck out of it with a stick welder.
It's not really the same thing. Like, you
Okay,
think the stick welder is like exactly the same.
I
as
want
the
to try
wire.
it,
does
and if it
not-
don't work,
does
then we'll
different.
stick
It's
weld.
gonna splatter all over and
It'll splatter. It's not gonna get hot enough. That wire welder, you can get in there. You can get the whole. You can get that whole bolt cherry red. You can get the whole nut you weld on it cherry red. You get the cast warmed up. Then you let the nut cool. And then you spin it out.
Okay. Too good. Might have had dumb luck here. Very dumb luck. Look at this.
It's spinning out by hand.
Oh
You
my-
got it all worked up, and there she spins out with a screwdriver.
Trying to tell me I gotta go buy a wire welder or spin it out with it. How lucky is that?
I think it's because it's a snap-on.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta be.
Look at that. That's so lucky. Boom.
We just got all the wheel lugs back in place. And now we're checking it to make sure that the wheel is fairly aligned. We have that Canopy B blaster. It's what my dad and I used to do on putting old Dayton wheels on straight trucks. So Devin's spinning the wheel around, make sure that we don't move the can. I'd say 1/4 of an inch would be pretty good tolerance. Checking our wheel alignment.
Dude, look at that. You gotta see this. It's not even moving the can. You can slip a piece of paper through there the whole way around.
Okay, let's check it right when the valve spin comes down. It hasn't moved that can in like 3 rotations. I'd say that's pretty good.
Back up on the left side.
Here we are on the driver's side. Oh, she moved her a little bit. Okay, so we got to readjust that one just a little bit.